Hello, Norrathians. This is Vass, and I am in the Six Flags Over Norrath house that I'm working on. And in this video, I'm doing a voiceover because my throat was still sore from a summer cold that I had. This is about the third, I think, video in that I did when I wasn't feeling well. So there should be probably 2 to 3 videos where I'm doing voiceovers. And then it'll be back to normal, I believe, after that, because I started feeling better after that. So in this episode, I am continuing in Kelethin. Got the little message above my head to let everyone know about the voiceover and to remind me as well to do a voiceover for this video during the editing process. And in this episode, I have placed out some of the briarwood stairs, the mossy briarwood stairs. That way I could get a feel for how many I needed. And I'm going to be continuing the path around through the trees and the center of Kelethin. Now, originally over by the buttercups, I had planned to have a path coming out at an angle, which I did change up. I was thinking that it would just be way too cluttered with too many paths going in different directions. In this part of the video, I'm playing around with the sign to see if I could fit the 2 signs together, but I didn't like the way it looked. So I'm just moving the sign out of the way for now. Still haven't come to a decision of where I was going to put it at this point. And you'll see me running around, and it's just to make sure that things aren't disappearing behind me, and to also get a good idea if there's enough space for the different rides that I'm going to be putting in for Kelethin. And I'm planning on having a path coming out to a central ride from there. And then another ride would be coming from here. And I'm planning on going around the tree, and I do that in this video. But in the next video after this, I believe I change it up because there isn't enough room for one of the rides that I wanted to put in, which is called the Honey Mixer. And for me, today is Tuesday. It's patch day. I logged in after the patch, started working on the park, did a video. At the very end of the video, there was a pop-up message about the servers going down for a brief update. It's a necessary thing, I guess, but we just came up from an update and then they brought it back down. So that was a little disappointing. But thankfully, I was at the very end of a video, so I didn't have to worry about it too much. And I'm thinking about the other games that I'm working on, or the other game that I play is called Planet Coaster. And I've been playing that off and on here and there, but primarily EverQuest 2. But there's some building aspects of Planet Coaster that I wish EverQuest 2 had. And I've been building stuff in there and doing some of the park scenarios and so on. And I'm thinking that since Tuesdays are patch days for EQ2, that I might actually start doing episodes for Planet Coaster builds on Tuesdays. That way that I can do that while I'm waiting for the patch for EverQuest 2 to come to be finished. And there's going to be a lot of I guess you would say redundancy for this, because it's just me laying out the paths, getting them where I want them to go and so on. I'm just copying one that's at the right angle and pasting it to another piece. And that way I can just take that piece and use it in that next area of the pathway. And I just copy the up-down coordinate. That way I can lift this one up to where I can move it freely, put it in place, and then once I've got it in place, I can use the layout editor to put it exactly at that up-down coordinate that I had it at before. I'm just getting a new from difference so I can replace the up-down coordinate and load it in game. Now I'm going to take that one that is fixed now, and I'm going to copy that one. And I was just making sure I didn't bury one of these small ones up under it. In the next few path pieces, I struggle a bit getting them exactly how I want them, because I wanted them to go up under the root of the tree. But of course that changes in another episode because I needed the extra space behind there for a ride. So I had to actually rotate that tree around, move it in. Plus the branches of the tree were sticking over the entrance, hitting the wall, and so on. So now I already had that up-down coordinate saved. Just moving it a bit so I don't have the shimmer. And see, my original plan is to go through the roots there, which ultimately I do. I get it to go through the roots. I struggled a bit here, but when I move the tree in a future episode, I actually still maintain that idea that I had of going through the tree. And I might be putting it off at this point because I knew I was going to have trouble with it. I'm just making sure that this part of the ride that I'm going to be making is going to be centered here. Because it's going to go straight out to the east from here. So I've got it straight out from the pathway, and I will have build a future path that'll go from the other path to connect to that ride. And I shifted those 3 down and moved the other one here. That way I could extend that path a little better, so whenever I do go up under the root it wouldn't be so difficult. And just making sure it's all even again, because I actually have to have a piece go up under that root and then rotate out again and connect to another piece. You just want to make sure the path actually connected to that feature in the park, that little shop stall, so to speak. Nothing up under, nothing up under there. Just double checking, because every building block and item counts, so if you've got extra that you had laid around, sometimes you will accidentally cover them up and not realize it. And I'm just moving things to where they need to be for my planning. And this is one of the areas that it gets kind of tricky. A little tip for you: if you do the page up and page down, if you're using those while you're decorating, if you're close to an item and you just can't move it enough off the screen to get it in place, you can hit the up arrow to be able to nudge the camera view up some so you can put it into place. Now this is what I was talking about where it was going to be tricky. Because I have to do an angle here. And then I've got that gap between the other one. I'm going to have some overlaps there. So I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to do it. To have the straight path on the side coming down a little bit more and overlapped, or to have an overlap piece up under the tree root. And it ultimately takes more stairs than I would have liked just to do this little area. I think this whole time I'm thinking, oh, I can just cover it up with the rails on the side. I realized that the tree was going to be sticking into the rails on the side. So I needed to move the tree a bit. and that takes care of it at the bottom, but then the small root that's coming up out of the ground is going to be in the way. So hopefully I moved it to the east. I was just checking to see if the height would make a difference, and it really doesn't. And I'm just making sure that it would cover it. So I think I'm at the point of giving up on that. Sometimes you just have to take a break from something and come back to it at another time. So now I'm working on the part of the path that's going to the central ride. I've got the teacups in that direction, the flour wheel straight ahead, and the honey mixer to the right. And I think at this point, that's the end of the video.